Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So in today's video, it is going to be the ultimate modding guide for Warframes. Now, I did say that I'm going to do an ultimate modding guide for primary weapons, for secondary weapons, and for melee weapons. So this is going to be one of a 4-part video. So without further ado guys, let's get on into today's video. It is going to be a long one, so grab your popcorn, sit tight, and enjoy. So first of all, for sets, we are going to go over the set mods. This includes the Umbra mods and the Archon mods. So let's get on into all of this. So people, we are starting off with the Umbra mod. So the first of the Umbra mod is going to be Umbra Fiber. This gives 180% armor and 19.8 tau resistance, which is just resistance to sentient damage. Now, Umbra mods are good on their own, however, they do work best when they are stacked with other Umbra mods on the same config. The next Umbra mod is going to be Umbra Intensify. Now, this gives plus 44% ability strength and more tau resistance as well. However, in the screenshot it says 77% because this is what it looks like once all 3 Umbra mods are stacked. Last but not least, we have Umbra Vitality. Now, this gives 180% health and more tau resistance for sentience. Now, the Umbra mods are a set of mods that I do recommend working on basically every single Warframe. So I do recommend these for a lot of frames. I recommend Umbra Intensify the most because it is just a good source of power strength. However, the Umbra mods are obtained from doing the sacrifice quest for Excalibur Umbra, so I'm sure you probably have already done that at this point, but yeah, onto the Archon mods we go. So first up we have Archon Continuity, plus 55% ability duration, and abilities that have a toxin effect will also apply a corrosive status effect. Now this is very good, so I will give a rundown of what Archon mods I think work well on what frames, so I will do that at the end after I've gone through the rest of the Archon mods. So next up we have Archon Flow. Now 185% energy max, and enemies killed by cold abilities have a 10% chance to drop an energy orb with a cooldown of 10 seconds. Again, this is a very good mod and definitely one that I would recommend using. The next mod is going to be Archon Intensify. 30% ability strength when restoring health with abilities grant 30% ability strength for 10 seconds. So this means your ability strength will double if your abilities can heal, which is again very good. Next up we've got Archon Stretch. So abilities that deal electrical damage will restore energy over 5 seconds and also 45% ability range. Last but not least, Archon Vitality, plus 100% health status effects from abilities that deal heat, and heat damage will also be applied twice. So now we've gone on over all of the Archon mods, let me get on into the long list of which mods I think are good on which frames and why they are good for said frames. Okay, so for Archon Continuity, I think it is going to be Mirage, Siren, Nidus, and Mesa. So let's get into this. Okay, so for Mirage, the explosive Legerdemain augment mod will turn health and energy orbs into mines that deal status. Now with this, toxin will be among the statuses, which will basically turn it to corrosive. Now Mirage will also deal corrosive anyways, however I do still think that it is an option that you could consider. I would still recommend Prime Continuity over Archon for Mirage, but it is your preference. Now for Siren, if you run the Toxic Lash Augment, the Contagion Cloud, you will create 5 meter Toxic Clouds, which will deal toxin damage for 12 seconds with every kill, and the damage gets twice as strong with melees. Now this of course deals toxin, which will in turn deal corrosive with Archon Continuity, so I do think it is a good combination if you want to build for that. Now for Nidus, we have the Lava Burst Augment for Nidus' second. This will deal 600 toxin damage in an 8 meter radius for all the enemies that are grabbed by Nidus' lava. Now this is undeniably going to work very well with Archon Continuity because you can drag in a lot of enemies with high range with this augment mod. Now throwing corrosive on them is just going to kill them faster, so I do think that is worthwhile investing this one into Nidus. Now for Mesa. So hold up, let him cook. Now with Mesa, if you were to run something like this with a decently high strength, very high duration and efficiency, with velocity and Archon Continuity, as you can see, you will get a Mesa that is primed for her regulators. Now with her regulators, if you run something like this, With Pistol Pestilence only modding for Toxin, you are going to proc Archon Continuity like an absolute motherfucker. I mean, you're going to be doing a lot of damage with Mesa, so let me show you what it looks like in Steel Path. I am in Steel Path and I'm literally just me running and jumping around with Mesa, and I'm quite literally obliterating everything, which is just easy as anything. Just going to throw up the Shatter Shield again, but as far as it goes, you're just destroying everything and it's borderline unfair to the enemies. So now let's talk about Archon Stretch. Now Archon Stretch is 45 range and abilities that deal electrical damage will restore energy over 5 seconds. So without a doubt, the two frames that I think this is going to have the most drastic impact on is going to be Vault and Wisp. For Vault, running a simple nuke config like this along with Archon Stretch is a very efficient way to significantly just gain back all of your energy and make it so that you are able to technically spam your nuke. This is ideal for leveling in Elite Sanctuary. Just make sure that you don't get your abilities banned from the stupid or Cephalon. As for Wisp, running a config with decent duration and having Archon Stretch on for a little bit of extra range is going to work out ideal as well. The way that it works with Wisp's buffs is that as long as the other players in the lobby or yourself have the shock mode on, which is from Fuse Reservoir if you want to make your life a little bit easier, is as long as these players have said more on, you will basically keep getting energy back over a long period of time, and every time the electricity taps an enemy and stuns an enemy, you will also get energy back. So it is definitely something that I would recommend using on Wisp. Another frame that I feel like does not get the respect it deserves with this would definitely be Jaya. Now if you were to make a config for the Arc Sphere, which is Gaia's first ability, this would be a definite good choice. Now moving on to Archon Intensify, there is only two frames you can genuinely use this with effectively. Number one being Wisp or Wisp Prime, and number two being Trinity. Now given that Trinity is basically only used for Eidolons just to heal the Eidolon laws, or used in defense missions like arbitrations to heal the defense target, we are going to skip over Trinity. However, for Wisp, let's get on into that. Now for Wisp, my personal preference is triple Umbrals with Umbral Intensify, but if you did want to run Archon Intensify on, you would replace Umbral Intensify with said mod. I would also replace the other two Umbral mods with different mods as well, maybe Equilibrium or something of the other sort. However, this is just going to give you 10% more power strength. Now you do get more strength with triple Umbrals, so like I said, I prefer that, but that is basically it for Wisp. As long as you have your first active with the health mode, then it is going to help out. Now let's talk about Archon Vitality. 100% status effects from abilities that deal heat damage will be applied twice. Now this is insanely effective on two frames, so let's get on into them. So the first of these two frames is going to be Ember or Ember Prime. Now with Ember's abilities basically all being fire based, it is going to work effectively with this Archon Vitality mod. I do personally think that with Ember's third ability, this is where Archon Vitality would shine with a decently high strength config, around about 200 or so strength. The second frame is going to be Nezha or Nezha Prime. If anyone can guess what my Nezha's look is based on, comment in the comment section below on if you play on PC, and the first person to comment it wins 150 plat. Now for Nezha, even running a config as simple as this would be more than enough. As long as you have about 250 or so strength and a decent amount of duration, this could absolutely pop off with Nezha's first, and with the fourth if you replace that. As you can see, I've replaced Nezha's fourth with Thermal Sunders, and now the scaling on this from the heat is capped to 10 times. So if we do the quick math of 2000 damage roughly times 10 is 20,000. Now with Archon Vitality, I believe it pushes it and doubles it to 40,000. Now you can see why this is capable of handling Steel Path and a good option on Nezha. I have also done a completely different video on Nezha alone, so if you want to check that out, link will be in the description. Last but not least, for the Archon mods, we have Archon Floor. 185% energy max, and enemies killed by cold abilities have a 10% chance to drop an energy orb with a cooldown of 10 seconds. Now this is only effective on Frost that I can think of, so if you have any other use case for it apart from Frost, please leave it in the comment section below because I haven't come up with it yet. So, on to the next bit of this video. So now I'm going to get on into how to mod for each trait on a Warframe, them being duration, efficiency, range and strength. So let's start off with duration. A frame that you are going to need to put a lot of duration on is Nova Prime for steel essence farming. So I'm going to list all the mods and stick them on screen, and then I will show you what arcanes pair up with it well. So let's get on into this. Now when it comes to modding for duration, there is only 5 mods that you are going to need to basically push your duration to the max. First of all, we have Prime Continuity for 55% ability duration. Next up is going to be Narrow Minded for 99 duration, but bear in mind that this will also take away 66% of ability range. Next up we've got Constitution for 28% duration and faster recovery from a knockdown. Then we've got Ogre Message for straight up 24% duration, and to finish off we've got Nearest Hatred for extra health but 15% duration. Now this can be pushed slightly further, like I said, with arcanes. As for arcanes, you are going to want to go with Malt Efficiency. Now what this is going to do is add 36% duration onto your config. So that was how to mod for duration, so let's get on into how to mod for efficiency on Warframes. So this is nice and simple, and there's literally only 3 mods. So the first mod that you are going to use to mod for efficiency is going to be Fleeting Expertise. Now what this is plus 60% efficiency, but bear in mind this is also minus 60% ability duration. The next mod is Streamline. Now Streamline is going to push the efficiency cap. As you can see on the side, the cap is only 175% efficiency. Now you could get away with literally modding Streamline to rank 2, and that would be enough to hit the 175% cap. Now there is one other mod which we are going to get on into now. So that mod is going to be a mod from the Archon set, and that is going to be Boreal's Hatred. Now this will give 15% ability efficiency, so pairing this up with Fleeting Expertise is enough to hit the cap. As for arcanes, there's no arcanes that will push Warframe efficiency, so your only options are these 3 mods. So now let's mod for range. For range, there's 4/5 mods that you can use, so let's get into that. First off is going to be Augur Reach for 30% range. Next up is going to be Cunning Drift for 15 range, but it's minus friction and plus slide. Now we've got Overextended for 90 range but minus 60 strength. Then we've got Stretch, or alternatively you could switch Stretch with Archon Stretch if you are using this on Vault, or maybe if you're throwing a little bit of extra range on Wisp. However, I do only recommend Archon Stretch with Vault and Wisp, like I said in the prior bit of this video. So let's get on into how to mod for power strength, because this is going to be a big one. So let's get into strength. First off, we have Transient Fortitude for 55% ability strength but minus 27.5 duration. Then we've got Blind Rage for 99 strength but minus 55 ability efficiency. Now we've got Amar's Hatred for 25 armor and 15% strength. Energy Conversion, so when you pick an energy orb up, you get 50% ability strength on your next cast. Then we've got Augur Secrets, which is 24 strength, and this can be pushed with Malt Augmented, which is 60% strength after you get 250 kills with the abilities active, and then Malt Vigor, which also allows you to get 45% strength by going into Operator and casting your second ability. I just wanted to quickly go on over the other 2 mod sets which I haven't gone on over already, so let's get right on into that. So first of all, we have the Augur mods. So let's start off with Augur Accord, which gives 70% shield capacity to your Warframe. The next one is Augur Message, which we have gone on over, which gives 24% ability duration. Next up we've got Augur Pact for your pistol, which gives 90% damage to your pistol. Next up we've got Augur Reach, which is for your frame and gives 30% ability range. Then we've got Augur Secrets, which is going to give you 24% ability strength on your frame, and Augur Seeker, which will give 90% duration to your pistol. So let's go on over the second set of Archon mods. Now I know that sounds strange because I've already gone on over the Archon mods for, you know, like the Archon Flow, Vitality, Continuity and all of that. But there is a second line of mods named after the Archons. So each Archon has a mod that has Anguish, Contempt and Hatred. So let's get on into that. There are 3 Archons and there's 3 mods to each Archon, so a total of 9 mods. So let's get on into this. Amar's Anguish gives 15% parkour velocity and 15% sprint speed to your frame. Amar's Contempt gives melee damage and slash to dual daggers. Amar's Hatred gives 25% armor and 15 strength to your Warframe. Boreal's Hatred gives 65 shield capacity and a 15% ability efficiency to your frame. Boreal's Contempt gives melee damage and plus 60% damage from status effects on polearms. Boreal's Anguish gives minus 75% while aim gliding and 60% latch on duration. Nero's Anguish gives 15% parkour velocity and 15% aim glide for a Warframe. Nero's Contempt gives 90% damage and 60% status for whips. And Nero's Hatred gives 35% to your frame and 15% ability duration. Now, that was a mouthful and I'm glad I can breathe again. However, we are not done with this yet. I did say that this is an Ultimate Warframe modding guide, but there is one thing that can completely change your playstyle, and that is your companion. So, let me get on into this. Now, there are a lot of companions that can absolutely change your playstyle with this. However, the one that I'm going to be going on over specifically for your Warframe is going to be the Helminth Charger. Now, the Helminth Charger is a big, chunky boy, so let's get on into how he can help you out in basically every way with your Warframe. So the very neat thing about the Helminth Charger is with the strain mods. So with strain eruption, which basically causes a cyst to grow up over 12 seconds and erupt, which will turn into a maggot. Comparing that and combining that with strain fever, which is 30% damage per cyst, and throwing that together with Mystic Bond is basically going to allow you to cast free abilities. These 3 mods alone are going to allow you to cast free abilities for your Warframe. And what that is free abilities. So this means that you can actually run a very low config, a low efficiency config on your Warframe for a nuke, for example, and it will be a viable option. As you can see on my vault here, I do have 75% efficiency, meaning my 4th ability costs 125 energy. However, the Helminth Charger will negate this and allow me to have a free energy cast. The next thing I wanted to show you guys is basically about balance. Now, as I showed previously, you could see my vault was very range and strength based for a nuke. However, you can balance these Warframes out very easily with said mods. So if you were to use Prime Continuity for duration, and then you were to throw on the Transient Fortitude for strength. Now as you can see here, this is minus 27.5% ability duration, so you counter that with Prime Continuity, so you've got 155 strength, and you've also got 128 duration. The next pairing duo that I want to bring to my attention is Blind Rage. So that is 99 strength but minus 55 efficiency, and then you pair that up with Fleeting Expertise. Now Fleeting Expertise will bring your duration back up to 67%. Now if you were to throw on another duration mod, so for example if you were to throw on Narrow-Minded, you can get your duration up to 167 but have low range. Now to counter range, it is where is Overextended? I cannot find it, I am legally blind. Overextended, like I already said. So Overextended would allow you to basically strike somewhat of a decent balance between all of these mods. If you wanted to push your efficiency further, I would recommend either Boreal's Hatred for I don't have the mod capacity on this. Oh wait, I've not even put an aura mod. This is a horrible example of modding, but you can see that if you wanted to put Boreal's Hatred on for a little bit of extra efficiency, you can. But like I say, running any frame with the Helminth Charger does allow you to get occasional free energy casts. So the duration is not insanely important, but the efficiency is something I would not worry about too much. Even running these 6 mods alone on most frames will be perfectly fine. And then for arcanes, you can scale up with the mult efficiency for duration, mult augmented for strength, or mult vigor for strength as well. Or if you want something specific on your frame, like on more free energy casts, I recommend Arcane Steadfast. I cannot type today. Arcane Steadfast. So a 20% chance that your next 3 abilities will not cost energy. Now this is very good for if you are making a low efficiency config, because you won't be expending any energy and you will still get to cast your abilities. Now formering is the way forward. As you can see here, I've got literally 0 formers on my Loki, so I'm not able to throw enough mods into these 3 slots effectively. Now if we were to go on over to my lovely 8 former Wisp, including a Aura former, then you can see I've got growing power over here. However, I've got Dead Eye over here, and it still gives me max amount of mod slots. The only thing with formering is you have to be careful, because if you were to do, like for example, 3 Madurai formers, you may have another config like here, the Eidolon one, where the Madurai former does not work properly. So as you can see here, I've put a Naramon mod in a Madurai slot, which makes it cost 11 mod slots instead of less mod slots. Now for Wisp, I've gotten triple Umbrals because I'm clinically insane, and I've also got triple Umbrals on my other Wisp, which is why I've not subsumed her. So I literally bought a 3rd Wisp to subsume. That shows you the dedication of me and Wisp. I am clinically insane, so please send help. But that being said, you've got to be careful with it in terms of your formering polarities. Now, what I would recommend is, if you do have one very specific config in mind, test it on a normal frame or a frame where you think that it'd be okay on. For example, I am working on a Nidus config, and on my first Nidus over here, I am not able to do this config that I wanted to run because of the polarities and because of the other configs I have on this Nidus, which I need to keep. Now, to negate this, I built another Nidus, which I've invested quite heavily into, as you can see. So this config is another work in progress, so you're not going to see that yet because that is coming out in another video. My final bit of advice is choose an ability to push with a specific Warframe and push that one ability. Now, this may sound obvious, but you'd be surprised with the amount of players that play this game and just create every frame for general use just so that it's able to do one thing and one thing only. As you can see on my Revenant here, I've pushed my duration and my efficiency quite high with some very high strength. Now what this Revenant is for is basically unlimited fidget spinner. As you can see from the abilities over here, I get a decent amount of Mesmer skin with 14 charges for basically keeping Revenant invincible. I've also got Eclipse because I do like to run and gun with this config as well, because I'm invincible as Revenant regardless. But this build is primarily based around this 4th ability, which is the Dance Macabre. So as you can see here, you do get very little energy per second expended, and you get quite high damage per second with very little drain. Now, this is across every single frame, apart from few frames which I can't even be bothered to name because, you know, it's going to take me a lifetime to individually say yes, do this ability, and no, don't do that one. But just generally, choose an ability on your frame and push it to its limits. Research that ability, look at the definition. For example, on Wisp, I know that the motes are strength based, so I made a config that just pushes the motes as far as they possibly can go, and that is my Steel Essence power config. Now, like I said, using a specific frame for one reason and making one frame's ability broken is a lot of fun. For example, my Mirage. This is a nuking config I've got on my Mirage, and I could replace Equilibrium with the Explosive Legerdemain augment. I cannot say that for anything. And I could make it a very, very good nuke for the 2nd, but this is a nuke for the 4th. So, you know, choose an ability, push it, and do that, because it does make the game a lot more fun, especially for Warframes, in my opinion. Last but not least, I did want to go on over the Shards. Now, the Archon Shards, which you can get from the weekly Archon Hunt, can basically make or break the way you play this game. Now from the Shards, there's 3 colors: Crimson, Amber, or Azure. So you can get health, shield, or other things from the blue shards. You can get casting speed and other stuff from the yellow shards. And the main use of the red shard is either ability duration or ability strength. As you can see on this Nidus here, I've given him a ton of casting speed and a ton of extra health, along with 15% ability strength. Now, depending on the Warframe you play, you are going to want to use these shards for very much different things. For example, I've gone with casting speed shards on Nidus and health shards on Nidus. On my other frame, so let's go on to Wisp, I've got 5 Tower Forge shards for just strength because Wisp is strength based. On my Zaku, I've got 2 shards for strength and then 1 shard for duration, along with a casting speed shard and a effectiveness on energy orb shard. Now these shards can be used very much in your own playstyle, which is something I do think is nice. For Rhino, I've gone with extra extra energy range and more casting speed. Casting speed universally is very good across a lot of frames. On Revenant, I've gone with effectiveness on energy orbs and 3 shards for casting speed, so you get my gist. But these Archon shards are something very simple that you can throw onto your Warframe, and if you don't like them, you can take them out, and if you've got a very specific config you want to work on, the shards can definitely give you a kick in the right direction. Anyway guys, that has been this video and I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button. If you're new here, consider subscribing. Like I said, this was a long video and this is only one of a 4-part series. I'm going to be doing an ultimate modding guide for primary weapons, secondary weapons and melee weapons too, so please stay tuned for that. Other than that, there's a link for my Discord server in the description if you want to join that. We do plenty of giveaways and it's a nice place to hang out and just talk Warframe or anything else in general. So that's this video. Hope you've enjoyed. Smash that like button. You can throw your popcorn in the bin because, you know, you probably finished it by the time this video's up. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed. Smash that like button and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.